Did you know that the serpent in Genesis hides a secret capable of shaking everything you thought you knew? Today, we will reveal hidden nuances in the Hebrew text that transform this character from a simple reptile into the protagonist of a millennia-old mystery. Get ready to discover a new dimension of this story and realize that what we know may just be the surface of a much larger enigma. In the twilight that surrounds the beginnings of existence, the words of the ancient Genesis echo with a mysterious and transformative power. The narrative of the Garden of Eden reveals a perfect setting where the harmony between the Creator and creation seems eternal. However, amid this peaceful environment, an enigmatic figure emerges, the serpent. Far more than a simple reptile, it presents itself as a symbol of intelligence and cunning that challenges traditional understanding, inviting us to revisit and reinterpret sacred texts with a more attentive and profound gaze. As we delve into the nuances of Hebrew, we find a word that transcends the mere description of an animal. The term nachash, traditionally translated as serpent, reveals itself laden with multiple meanings, suggesting both brightness and enchantment. This linguistic ambiguity opens space for reflections on the nature of deception and seduction, highlighting that the serpentine figure can represent not only cunning, but also the subtle manipulation that triggers the fall of humanity. Each word and each symbol present in this ancient narrative propels us to seek an understanding that transcends superficial interpretations, inviting us to see the story with eyes of inquiry and faith. This introduction proposes a journey that combines theological erudition with a passion for discovering the secrets hidden in biblical language. By examining the layers of meaning that compose the Eden narrative, we are led to question the true meaning of the deception that, at first glance, seems simple, but carries within it a profound existential dilemma. The analysis of the scriptures reveals an eternal confrontation between light and darkness, where the enigma of the serpent becomes an invitation to reflect on the origins of disobedience and redemption. This investigation aims not only to clarify enigmatic passages, but also to inspire a renewed perception of the constant struggle between good and evil. Every detail of the sacred text becomes an open door to mystery, inviting the observer to rethink old paradigms and embrace the complexity of the divine. By diving into this universe of surprising interpretations, we discover that the Eden narrative is much more than a simple story. It is an invitation to seek the truth hidden behind sacred words, revealing secrets that continue to inspire and challenge our understanding to this day. Prepare to embark on this journey that will unveil new divine aspects for you. Since the beginnings of the account in Genesis, the Garden of Eden presents itself as a perfect setting, where the communion between the Creator and humanity reached a state of harmony and abundance. In this idyllic environment, Adam and Eve lived in close proximity to God, enjoying an existence filled with peace and provision. However, this perfection was interrupted by the appearance of an enigmatic figure, the serpent, which, from its first contact, assumes a decisive role in the transformation of human destiny. The biblical narrative describes the serpent as a cunning being whose persuasive ability goes beyond mere animal behavior. As it approaches Eve, it uses a subtle and seductive language to question the divine order, insinuating that the Creator is restricting the potential of humanity. This approach, filled with nuances, incites distrust and doubt, leading Eve to question the truth that had been presented to her. The effect of this discourse is so powerful that the innocence and trust of the protagonists are shaken, culminating in the choice of disobedience. One of the most intriguing aspects of this episode lies in the analysis of the Hebrew term nachash, usually translated as serpent. This word carries an ambiguity that transcends the simple designation of a reptile. By suggesting qualities such as brightness and enchantment, nachash points to an entity that, beyond being persuasive, symbolizes the use of enchantment to distort the truth. This linguistic choice reveals that the serpent, as an agent of deception, represents a much more complex element capable of operating in the depths of the symbolic and the metaphorical. By exposing these facts, the biblical text reveals that the episode of Eden was not an isolated event, but the starting point for the eternal battle between obedience and rebellion. The garden, which symbolized full communion with God, becomes the stage where the spiritual conflict between fidelity to the Creator and the desire for autonomy, represented by the deception that the serpent sowed, was established. This significant event highlights that, even amid perfection, there was a mechanism of testing and revealing human limits. Every detail of the account, from the choice of words to the interaction between the characters, was meticulously constructed to emphasize that deception was, in fact, a catalyst for the transformation of the human condition. The fall of Adam and Eve not only altered the trajectory of history, but also established the dynamics of the conflict between good and evil, which echoes throughout human experience. Thus, the exposure of biblical facts invites us to look beyond the literal narrative, unveiling deep layers of symbolism that continue to inspire and challenge those who seek to understand the origins of deception and redemption. As we delve deeper into the analysis of the Eden narrative, the figure of the serpent emerges not only as an agent of deceit, but also as a multifaceted symbol that challenges simplistic interpretations. Traditionally portrayed as the villain who instigated disobedience, the serpent can be reinterpreted as a character that embodies the complexities and ambiguities essential to the human condition. This new perspective invites us to rethink the role that deceit plays in the human journey towards self-understanding and the divine. In the original Hebrew, the term nachash does not merely designate a reptile, but carries nuances of brightness, enchantment, and persuasion. This semantic richness suggests that the serpent could represent not only the personification of evil, but also a catalyst for the pursuit of knowledge and autonomy. By questioning the established order, it provokes a reflection on the very nature of truth and the limits imposed on humanity. Thus, the serpentine figure ceases to be merely an instrument of ruin and becomes a mirror of the tensions between blind obedience and the desire to transcend the ordinary. This reinterpretation proposes that the deceit introduced by the serpent can be understood as the starting point for the development of critical consciousness. By inciting Eve to question the divine order, the serpent triggers a process of awareness that, although it led to the fall, also paved the way for the evolution of human thought. In this context, the episode is not merely a simple act of betrayal, but transforms into an existential dilemma that highlights the duality of being, the coexistence of light and shadow, wisdom and illusion. Furthermore, the reinterpreted serpent symbolizes the power of enchantment and seduction as indispensable elements of the human experience. Instead of being seen solely as a symbol of evil, it comes to represent the complexity of free will, where each choice involves risks and challenges. The fact that the serpent uses charm and persuasion to influence Eve's decisions underscores how deceit can be subtle and multifaceted, manifesting in ways that sometimes blur with the pursuit of knowledge and autonomy. By reinterpreting this figure, we are invited to reflect on the nature of temptation in contemporary life. In a world filled with information and seductive voices, the serpent's message takes on a new dimension, emphasizing the importance of developing discernment that goes beyond the superficial. This new reading allows the Eden narrative to be viewed as a warning about the dangers of pride and self-sufficiency, while also celebrating the human capacity to question and seek the truth. Ultimately, the reinterpreted serpent is a symbol of the inherent complexity of the human condition. It reminds us that the path to wisdom often involves confronting our own limitations and illusions. Thus, the enigmatic figure of the reptile stops being merely a villain and transforms into an invitation for deep reflection on the balance between the desire for knowledge and the need to remain true to the principles that sustain life in communion with the divine. From a theological perspective, the account of deceit in the Garden of Eden is not limited to a mere historical narrative, but reveals a spiritual conflict that resonates throughout the human experience. This passage presents the battle between good and evil in a manner that is both subtle and intense, demonstrating how deceit insinuates itself into the heart of man, often masked under the veil of freedom and knowledge. As we immerse ourselves in this narrative, we realize that the serpent, far from being just an agent of disobedience, symbolizes the multiple facets of temptation and moral ambiguity that challenge humanity to discern between what is true and what is illusory. This theological understanding compels the believer to adopt a vigilant and reflective stance in daily life. By recognizing that evil manifests in various forms, disguised as wisdom, freedom, or even in seemingly innocent choice, we are called to deepen our knowledge of the Scriptures and to strengthen our communion with God through prayer and constant study. This relentless pursuit of spiritual discernment not only protects individual faith, but also prepares the ground for a conscious resistance against the traps that often present themselves in subtle and alluring ways. In practical terms, the impact of this narrative becomes a guide for daily choices. Every decision, every act, can be interpreted as a reflection of this inner struggle between obedience and rebellion. This metaphor of deceit alerts us to the need for continuous self-reflection, where the believer evaluates their motivations and actions in the light of revealed truth. Thus, faith stops being a mere set of rituals and transforms into a living practice that guides every aspect of existence, promoting inner transformation and resilience in the face of temptations. Moreover, this narrative underscores the importance of humility and the recognition of one's own vulnerability. By understanding that pride and self-sufficiency can create space for deceit, the faithful are led to cultivate an attitude of dependence and gratitude towards the divine. This posture not only strengthens the individual journey, but also fosters a faith community based on mutual support, where each experience of overcoming contributes to collective edification. Ultimately, the episode of deception in Eden reveals itself as an invitation to action and spiritual renewal. It teaches that true freedom is not found in rejecting divine teachings, but in the ability to discern the truth amidst the seductions of the world. By internalizing this message, the believer is motivated to transform their life into a testimony of redemption, where each conscious choice becomes a step toward full communion with God. This profound theological and practical reflection, therefore, not only illuminates the path of faith, but also provides a solid foundation for facing daily challenges with courage, humility, and hope. Reflecting on the entire journey outlined by the narrative of the Garden of Eden, we realize that the account of deception and redemption intertwines to form a deep and timeless message. From the enigmatic introduction of the serpent, which symbolizes not only deception, but also the awakening of existential questions, to the redemptive promise revealed in the figure of Christ, we are invited to understand that each element of this story has a meaning that transcends simple literalness. This conclusion shows us that the Bible is not just a collection of ancient accounts, but a continuous invitation to reflection, transformation, and practical action in the life of each believer. The deception that manifests in Eden serves as a warning for the challenges we face daily, highlighting the need to remain vigilant and committed to the pursuit of truth. It teaches us that the path to freedom does not reside in the denial of divine authority, but in the ability to discern and choose what is true, rejecting the seductions of pride and self-sufficiency. This lesson is especially relevant today, when the traps of deception present themselves in increasingly subtle and complex ways, demanding from us a constant spiritual renewal and a deep commitment to the practice of faith. In light of this scenario, the message of redemption and hope emerges strongly, reminding us that even after the fall, the presence of the divine is evident in the unconditional offer of love and salvation. Christ, as the redemptive agent, shows us that true victory over evil is achieved through humility, obedience, and sincere submission to God's will. This inner transformation is the foundation for a life grounded in integrity, where each conscious choice becomes an act of faith that strengthens our communion with the Creator. It is in this spirit that I urge each of us to take action. This is not merely a theoretical reflection, but an invitation to the daily practice of faith. Reflect on your attitudes, question your motivations, and allow the study of Scriptures to illuminate your path. Seek to cultivate an intimate and sincere relationship with God through prayer, study, and fellowship with those who share the same purpose. Remember that just as the narrative of Eden points to the duality between deception and redemption, our lives are a constant exercise in discernment and overcoming temptation. Therefore, take this moment as a call for personal and collective transformation. Share this message with those who need encouragement to seek the truth and allow the power of redemption to invade every aspect of your being. May the reflection on the mystery of the serpent and the triumph of divine grace inspire you to live more authentically, resisting the seductions of the world and embracing the love and mercy that have been revealed to us. In doing so, we not only ensure the continuity of a vibrant and transformative faith, but also contribute to the building of a more just, aware, and enlightened community by the eternal teachings of the Word of God. Let us together walk this path of faith and transformation, remembering that the choice for the divine is, above all, the key to a full life filled with hope.